I want to talk about a story that I don't see enough people talking about, to be honest with you, and it's about this transgender woman who stabbed a postal worker to death in a New York deli. So let me just play the video and then I'm going to give my take on this, because I think if the roles were reversed and some postal worker, this was a black postal worker, had stabbed a trans person, we would have seen this splashed on every single news outlet. So this just disgusted me. This is a horrible way to die. Just take a listen.
Police have arrested a 24-year-old woman after a postal worker was stabbed to death inside a Harlem deli. Jaya Cruz is charged with murder in the attack, and now the victim's former colleagues are struggling to process what happened. Eyewitness News.
I want to stop right there and say, I don't know why they didn't say transgender woman. They just said a woman. This is a transgender woman, and sorry to offend you, but there is a big difference here. A major difference. And I think it's very crucial to the story.
Reporter Phil Tate joins us live from Harlem with more. Phil?
Yeah, Shirley, this is just a heartbreaking story. Jaya Cruz has now been charged with murder as police say that she is the person who allegedly killed this postal worker, Ray Hodges, while on the job. This corner store that you see right behind me had turned into a crime scene, and we're told that an argument went off the rails that was all about who ordered a sandwich first. I want to get straight to some video right now as our cameras were rolling as we saw this 24-year-old Jaya Cruz. She was walked out of the 28th precinct. Now, she didn't utter a word as she was bombarded by questions from reporters, and this just hours after this deadly incident here on Lenox Avenue around 2:30 yesterday. Now, Hodges, a Bronx man, was stabbed multiple times inside of this deli from his torso, arms, back, and neck. Now, police did recover a knife here on the scene. Now, the 36-year-old's final breaths will be taken on the jobs as doctors at a local hospital couldn't save his life. Now, we spoke to a friend of the alleged killer and the victim, who are both reeling from this tragedy. Let's take a listen.
All I'm gonna say, he was a nice young man. That's it.
She's a nice young lady. She is not the type that just come out in the street and attacking people. This is just a bad neighborhood. What had happened, I have no idea because I was not around here. I don't know, but I do know if she said it was in self-defense, it was in self-defense.
Yeah, so many questions still left unanswered. This investigation remains ongoing, and Hodges does become the fourth homicide.
Now, according to Pix 11 News, which is based out of New York, Hodge was on duty and making his rounds before he popped into the deli, which they say was like a usual lunch break spot for him, and said an employee who was inside the deli at the time said that Hodge went to the counter to buy a sandwich. And the deli workers said Jaya Cruz was behind Hodge in the store and started arguing over who was in line first. Now, he told her, "I'm trying to order my sandwich. I was here." The deli workers said that the two kept arguing and people unsuccessfully tried to intervene. The employee said, quote, "I separate them. She came from behind me and she spit on him." That's what the deli worker said. The worker said Hodge grabbed a bottle to defend himself, and that's when she took out a knife and stabbed him in the neck and his stomach. Hodge was rushed to a nearby hospital, but he was pronounced dead. You know, even if there were a dispute over who ordered first in this deli, did it amount to stabbing this person in their torso, their hand, all over their body, and slashing them to the point where they passed away? So one of the things I always say is we don't know what the moment before looked like, right? We know that they were arguing inside of this deli shop in Harlem. We don't know what words were said. People have been speculating that maybe the victim misgendered this individual and all that stuff. I'm not going to say any of that stuff because I don't have any proof of that, and that was not presented here inside of this news report. But to the individual who did not appear on camera to say that this transgender woman really wouldn't bother anybody unless it were self-defense, I want to read something because I think this is very important for context. And this postal worker, and this has been published in various news outlets after this stabbing incident in Harlem. It says that the suspect charged in the fatal stabbing of postal worker in a New York City deli over a spot in line has a history of knife violence. So let me just read a little. I'm going to put on my reader's chart. I'm getting old. Don't judge my glasses. These aren't my real glasses. And so let's just go into what this individual did in the past. Okay, because this is very important. This is according to the New York Post. This has been on several news sites, but this one is from the New York Post. They reported that Cruz has 5 previous arrests for crime, including knives. In July 2020, she waved an open box cutter at another person in Midtown Manhattan and shouted, "I'm going to cut him." This is what police sources told the newspaper. Cruz was ordered to get on the ground but refused and was arrested for resisting arrest. 2 weeks later, Cruz was arrested again for an alleged role in a robbery using knives to take a man's wallet and phone after the victim invited the pair to hang out. This is just, this is not just an innocent individual if all these news reports are correct, and I believe they are. This is not just an innocent person who was just merely defending themselves, although the person could have been defending herself. She absolutely could have been defending herself for something. We don't know just yet. But the reality is this transgender woman has a history. She has a pattern of assaulting people and resisting arrest. So there's a problem there. New York is just wilding out, man. Just wilding out. And it's so unfortunate. People just on their job, letter carriers, they're doing so much work throughout the day. And at the end of the day, they got to stop to use the restroom or stop to get something quick to eat. And to know that this person just went inside there and that was just the end of his life. It's sick, man. It's so sick. And my condolences to his family members and his friends and his coworkers on the postal job, because I know that sends shivers down a lot of people's spines. Postal workers have to deal with crazy people sometimes and angry dogs, and you know what I mean. It's like they got to go through horrible weather. It's a tough job. It's a very tough job. And when you just stop it in a deli to get something to eat, and then this happens, it's just devastating. But like I said, I think had this been flipped, had this been the reverse, had a postal worker or anybody else for that matter stabbed and killed and slashed a transgender woman, we would have never heard the end of this. We would have, especially in New York, we would have never heard the end of this. And so we'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to follow this story to see what happens to this transgender woman, but this is disgusting. Drop your comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you like this video and you want to support this channel, be sure to go down in the description box and you will see ways to contribute, or you can also scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much to all my channel members. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. Toodles.